So we're tracking some historical restaurants in Disneyland today, and right behind me is a really interesting one. So this is Riverbell Terrace, but in 1955 it was actually something very different. It was Aunt Jemima's Pancake House, which stuck around for quite a while. They obviously serve pancakes, breakfast items, at a fair price. One of my favorites was the Neapolitan. I'll show a picture right here and some of the pictures of the outside. But one of the coolest things about this place is that Aunt Jemima herself was a character and used to walk around. And they actually had a pancake race that would happen around Main Street in honor of this restaurant, where housewives would flip pancakes and they'd have to race. It was really, really fun. So yeah, this is a really cool restaurant right here. Great history. So we're here at one of our favorite restaurants. It's Rancho del Zacolo. But way back in 1955, when there was a lot of sponsorship in the parks, and this is one of my very favorite stories, this used to be Casa de Fritos, after the Fritos Kid, who was the mascot. So there used to be a thing over here, so a little machine where you put in some money, and the Fritos Kid with his friend Klondike would drop a little bag of Fritos down, and there was all kinds of animatronics and some voices and stuff like that, so you could get tacos in a cup and some cool dishes. So I'll show some screenshots because the Fritos Kid used to be set up right over there, but yeah, one of my favorite things, Casa de Fritos in 1955. So I had originally thought that the Frito Kid was placed basically in the shooting gallery where it used to be, but from old maps I can see that the shooting gallery existed and then he was actually right near to it. So I thought this little mountain might have been his little mountain, but it's actually not. It's been here a lot longer, and that's pretty cool. Another thing to note about Casa de Fritos is that its location that it was not its original location. It was actually right near Riverbell Terrace, just a couple doors down, so I can show a little screenshot of where it used to be. That's where he first was, and then he ended up in that location that became Rancho del Zacolo and served Fritos for all that time. And another cool fact I learned recently was that Doritos, as we know them today, were actually invented in Disneyland. That's right, the Frito-Lay guy went there. I guess they used to cut up the tortillas that they used for the tacos and whatnot and season them and cook them, and then he got the idea for Doritos. And then that's why you see on the old Doritos logo that it kind of looks like the Disneyland one. That's not a coincidence, they were actually invented at Disneyland. I'm standing here in front of Dumbo right now, but long time ago in the beginning of the park at Disneyland, this was not always Dumbo. This is something called the Chicken of the Sea restaurant, which is really interesting. They had this weird thing called a tuna burger, but Walt really loved it. They used to have mermaids over here and everything. And then when that closed, they had a Captain Hook galley for a little while. I'll show some pictures of the old scenes here. And once upon a time, they also had Skull Rock, and they had mermaids hanging out. It was really cool. But yeah, eventually the boat kind of rotted away and they had to change it, and Dumbo's here now, but this is the old location of Chicken of the Sea. So we're here at Carousel of Progress to talk about a really cool opening day restaurant in Disneyland called Space Bar. It was also in Tomorrowland, and I'm here in front of the Carousel of Progress because it eventually was in that building that was Space Bar. So back in 1955 they had an automat style restaurant, which is super cool if you've ever seen one of those. It's basically a bunch of little cubbies, and you just put your money in and you get a pie, you get a sandwich, something cool like that. So really, really awesome. So in the beginning there were celebrities that were there. So Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., I'll show some pictures of that. I'll show some pictures of the ad. They called it the Dinner of the Future. That was the whole idea. But it's a very, very popular spot. It was in the building that's now Launch Bay. It was moved eventually for Carousel of Progress the first time, and I'll talk a little bit about the second Space Bar in a second. So as I was saying, for the Space Bar, they eventually moved it to make room for the Carousel of Progress, and then when that moved over to Disney World, they turned that into Star Wars Launch Bay many years later. But behind me is called the Lunching Pad. This is where the second version of Space Bar was. So it was a little thing that said Space Bar, it had a rocket on top, and then they changed it to more like quick service, like ice cream, bananas, things like that. So it's a little bit different, but I think people always miss that old Space Bar, and personally I would love to go there. Space Bar, 1955. So that's going to do it for our 1955 Disneyland restaurants that are a little bit weird, but also kind of charming. So here's a little photo of all of them listed. And we started with Aunt Jemima's Pancake House, then we did Chicken of the Sea with the mermaids and eventually became Captain Hook. And then we did Casa de Fritos featuring the Fritos Kid. And then we did Space Bar, which is a really popular automat style restaurant in Tomorrowland. So I'm going to leave you with some awesome words from the Fritos Kid. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment. We'll see you in the next one. We'll see you in the future.
Hey, Klondike, more Fritos, the best corn chips made.
The freshest, too. Crisp, salted, golden brown Fritos. Good anytime.
Someone else knows what's good. Another bag of Fritos, Klondike.
Okay, coming right up. One bag of crisp, salted Fritos.
Hey, Klondike, how about digging another bag of Fritos?
Here they come. those delicious golden chips of corn.